This is an interesting story. At the Dubai International Airport, there are two lines, one for Americans and the other for Indians. Emirati officials are checking everybody's vaccination status. But for some strange reason, the Indian line was progressing much faster than the one with Americans. Americans were all paranoid. Some of them could not find their vaccination certificates. Some found theirs to be damaged, while others had much of the written information on the cards wiped off due to spilling of liquids of all kinds on them. It was a mess. So what made their Indian line different? Well, India has embraced digitization. Every Indian in the line showed their vaccination certificates via their smartphones. And to the surprise of all, when the airport officials scanned the QR codes on all such digital certificates, they were all verified by CoWin. Americans seized. How could Indians avail such technology while they remain stuck with paper and pens? This is a story of how the United States has much to learn from India. Hi and welcome to TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Piyush, and if you haven't subscribed to TFI English yet, please hit the subscribe button and also click on the bell icon to receive all the recent updates. Coming back to the story, I will tell you why America, that ridiculed India for CoWin, is now teaching its citizens to safeguard their paper vaccine certificates. Let's begin. With every emergent COVID-19 wave, the United States somehow always manages to get ravaged. Despite the vaccination program being on for more than a year now, the United States has not quite understood how the pandemic is to be dealt with, how hospitalizations are to be prevented, how normalcy is to be maintained, and how people are to be saved. But then for a country that has not even understood the best way for giving its citizens vaccination certificates, expecting it to deal with the pandemic effectively is quite an overstretch. You see, Americans today rely on their vaccination cards as if their lives depend on them. And that has been causing a lot of trouble. The vaccination card being made available by Centers for Disease Control is peculiar in size. It does not fit in wallets and needs to be separately carried around. As I said, the vaccination campaign in the United States has been going on for over a year now. With time, people have lost and misplaced their 4.25 by 3.5 inch white vaccination cards. Once they realize that they have lost their cards, Americans are gripped with an all-consuming seizure of paranoia. The New York Times, which is infamous for publishing shoddy reports concerning India that almost always seem to incline with the liberal narrative, decided to run an informative story recently. In a piece titled, "What to do if you have lost your COVID-19 vaccination card?" NYT chose to educate Americans on how they need not panic upon losing their vaccination cards. It then went on to explain a confusing and ambiguous, not to mention an unsure way of Americans to get hold of new vaccination cards. NYT said that people who live in the states that have made vaccine information available on digital dashboards are in luck, while those whose states are yet to embrace digitization need to take a more hectic view of things. NYT said that people who lose their COVID-19 cards can contact their doctors, but then doctors might not have all the required information to fill in a new card. The publication then suggested Americans who lose their cards get in touch with their immunization centers. Then too, such people might not really get a new card on their first visit. The United States of America, a superpower and a first world country, is today struggling with a fundamental question, and that is the question of how physical cards can be preserved like treasure and how, in an event they get misplaced or stolen, new ones can be issued. All of America's problems on this front will vanish if it decides to create a centralized COVID-19 dashboard like India. But that is unlikely to happen considering the technical illiteracy of those in power in Washington. India's vaccination program is drawing laurels from countries that genuinely want to rid themselves of COVID-19. And such countries realize that CoWin system can be a formidable tool for them. So, while the first world countries sulk in their corners upon witnessing India's tremendous success, at least 50 countries from across Central Asia, Latin America, and Africa have expressed their interest in gaining technological insight from India, specifically with the CoWin portal. The CoWin platform is helping India avoid chaotic scenes at vaccination centers. Unlike in other countries where people are having to reach vaccination centers, get exposed to large crowds, be pushed and shoved around, and finally end up being told that the jabs at a given center have been exhausted. Here's how CoWin works. Upon vaccination, a certificate is generated via CoWin portal. This certificate will either be provisional in case only the first dose has been administered, or will be a final one when both doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered. This certificate can be verified from anywhere in the world. For verification of the certificate, one must visit the CoWin portal. On the home page itself, a verified certificate option is seen next to the book your slot option. Upon clicking the verified certificate option, a QR code scanner pops up, which is when one is required to scan the QR code displayed on his or her certificate. If the certificate is legitimate, the CoWin portal will immediately display that the certificate has been verified. Meanwhile, even as those vaccinated in India are given physical copy of their certificates at the immunization centers, almost everyone in the country today relies on digital forms of their certificates, which can be availed by shooting off a simple SMS from one's registered mobile number. Americans, however, are not one SMS away from digital vaccine certificates, thanks to their glaring incompetence of their government to create a CoWin-like portal that can be used across the country. India can become an example for the United States. I am sure the Modi government will be more than willing to share its digital expertise with Washington DC, but America must be willing to learn to become a part of the India-led global digital renaissance. This is Piyush signing off until the next one.